Guys, welcome back to the channel. As we roll into this new week, let's talk all things NEO stock. As on Friday, we saw NEO stock decline by about 3%, with a further 0.5% drop into the after hours. The question is what happens in the upcoming week. And whilst nobody can say with any degree of certainty, and whilst I am not a financial advisor, I will be sharing with you my personal thoughts and opinions this week based on what we have recently seen. If it sounds like a good video, please do make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It would help me out a lot. And with that being said, let's jump straight in. Now, of course, I'm going to give us a brief rundown on everything that we've seen. And as you can obviously see on the Friday session, we saw a drop. The majority of this decline coming in really before midday. We're seeing a drop by about 4.5%, recovering slightly. And you know, if we look from the lows to the end of the day, we were actually up ever so slightly. So the question is now, where do things go? Especially given the fact that the 5-day trend is red by about 7.5% and the past month is looking overall positive. Is this simply a bit of a sell-off, or are we about to see a trend change with NEO? And I think the next couple of days are going to be very important to determine that. Now, previous landmarks I set out for with NEO, personally, was to see if we could hold on to these key levels roughly around, I'm going to call it 610. Now, this held as a support here and here. The hope was that we would see this again. Unfortunately, we have dropped below it. However, even with that being said, we are still holding on relatively decently to the gains that we have secured. I mean, you only need to go back a month or two to see when NEO stock was priced at like $3. So, comparatively, we are up big. But it's now about simply establishing a new support. Now, I think that really is my main objective for this upcoming week. Establishing a support would be ideal. We could look to previous levels of strength, which could potentially hold up. These could be levels that we have seen possibly around 578. This could even be levels as low as 555, and of course potentially below that you've got 522. All of those would signify a significant drop, and that's why they wouldn't be the best case scenarios. The most idealistic scenario is one of two things. You know, if we were to see more downwards momentum, which of course is possible, we hold on to this current level of support almost exactly where we are now, around about 590, 592. Holding on to that would be a very good thing. If we're not able to hold on to that, I want to see this trend slowly start to slow down, right? A bit of a drop as we have seen. You could call it a sell-off, you could call it justified based on everything that we've seen, but it's now about seeing if we can find that support level, right? So whether it be a slowdown in trend for an eventual reversal, the next week's goal is simply about finding some support levels. Do I think there's that potential for more downwards? I think it is possible, right? If we don't see perhaps a relatively immediate pullback to the upside, I think this one does have potential to drop a little bit more. But the question is, are we going to see this one plummet to those levels that I previously mentioned, or is it more likely that we're going to see that slow decline before eventually potentially turning it round? We'll need to find a level of support first, and that's what I'll be keeping you guys updated on over the course of this week. Would I be interested in buying NEO stock right now? Well, it depends how you view it, right? If you have a high risk tolerance and you think that option B is more likely and the stock is actually going to turn around, now could be a very interesting point to get into it. However, if you're of the belief that it's going lower, then of course it would make more sense to wait. For me, I would personally wait. I'd wait to see what happens, because right now, again, we're coming up to a very pivotal pricing point, and that will tell us a lot about what comes next. That's just my opinion, but thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I hope I'll see you again